Hello everybody and welcome! You're watching TSSZ Plus and this is the final episode, last one I promise, of TSSZ Plays Sonic Generations. I'm Lou, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Things are gonna look a little different around here as we test out the brand new look for TSSZ Plus, which is gonna carry us into 2019 and beyond. Lots of fun things to talk about tonight, not the least of which, of course, is everything Sonic Generations as we finally break the game down, talk about what works, talk about what doesn't, and we get into everything in the first half of the stream. The second half, whatever it works out to be, is going to be us talking about the future of TSSZ Plus. We've got a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up over the next few months, and we want you to be front and center for all of it, so we will discuss the whole thing in time. But first, I think it's time that we wrap up a little bit of Sonic Generations. Don't you agree? Isn't it about time? Oh, we've been having this one on the docket for a while. Let's get into Sonic Generations right now. Whatever to talk about, I don't know, because the controller's not responding, so we're gonna maybe not play Sonic Generations at all. Is that how this is gonna work? Is that how this is gonna be today? That's alright. Bear with me here. We're gonna go back to this. See? I told you there were some caveats, but that's okay. Sonic Generations, so much fun. SEGA. There it is. I think we got it now. How's that for vamping? we are professionals here. There we go. Beautiful stuff. So, we've got a lot to talk about with Sonic Generations here, and we're going to pop right into it, leave some gameplay going on in the background as we discuss the entire thing. Where to begin? If you have thoughts, specific thoughts on Sonic Generations, of course, interject in the chat as you see fit. But where to begin? So, Sonic Generations, it's tough to argue that this is certainly, or rather it's not tough to argue that this is certainly one of the better, if not one of the best, boost outings in the Sonic franchise, and if you're willing to go this far, one of the best 3D outings in the Sonic franchise. It's got a lot of positives that really make it a high-quality experience that longtime fans and newcomers alike can thoroughly enjoy, but it also has some shortcomings that really hold the game back from being an unequivocal success in a lot of ways. We'll put it that way. And what makes perfect sense, I think, is to start with the gameplay, so here we go. You know, it's not hard to argue, I think, that Sonic Generations represents the boost formula at quite possibly its most refined. Very responsive controls, especially on PC, at 60 frames per second. Some very exciting level design, a very satisfying gameplay experience in ways that, you know, Unleashed didn't necessarily deliver on, and in some ways, Colors failed to replicate with its blockier approach to the 3D gameplay. What you see in Generations is a healthy mix of more methodical platforming thanks to classic Sonic, as well as a more appreciable approach to spectacle thanks to some of the ridiculous stuff that modern Sonic gets to do, just like that. You know, there's kind of a perfect example there. And what SEGA does and Sonic Team does very smartly with Sonic Generations that maybe you don't see as much in other Sonic titles is sort of balancing out those two elements of Sonic, whereas, you know, if you're a fan of the more methodical, maybe exploration-based platforming, you definitely get it with classic Sonic. And if you're a fan of that, you know, high-speed, no-holds-barred action, then you certainly get it with modern Sonic. So it kind of combines the best of both worlds in a lot of key ways. Not all of them. And of course, there are some shortcomings, I think, to both approaches. But it's not hard to see how well Sonic Generations puts the whole package together into one cohesive experience, you know, start to finish. It definitely feels like one of the most polished and most thought-through entries in this franchise, even to this day, you know, in the face of other products like Sonic Lost World and especially Sonic Forces. You know, this game feels fully formed in ways that maybe those titles don't, which is very nice to see. And I think that kind of spells itself out as we play through Green Hill here. The simplest and most straightforward modern Sonic level in a lot of ways, but it's still no less exciting, and that doesn't come to its detriment. You know, in a lot of Sonic games, and it's interesting, that first stage for a lot of people tends to be the most enjoyable because it is the most straightforward, but I think because of how modern Sonic is set up, a lot of that carries through very nicely, and you get that sort of seamlessness throughout, which is cool. Classic Sonic, on the other hand, if we were to switch over to him right now, maybe a little bit more give and take here required to fully enjoy Classic Sonic. Excuse me, functionally nothing really wrong with him, and, you know, it works just like you would expect. Relatively satisfying to control, there's a reasonable weight to him that makes movements predictable, especially at high speed. The spin dash is, of course, completely overpowered, which breaks a lot of elements of the game very readily if you're prepared for that sort of thing. It's funny how, even I think I have this running in 900p windowed mode or something in my, on my PC here. It's amazing how I think even the level of detail here and the texture quality is better than Sonic Forces. Which is both, I think, a credit to how good Generations looks and kind of a knock on Forces, I suppose. But as most of you know, I'm not exactly the biggest glowing fan of that game. But that's not our discussion today, is it? Classic Sonic, I think probably the lesser of the two Sonics in this game, primarily because, and I've talked about this in previous streams, I just find him a little too stiff for my liking. A lot of jumps, especially in later stages when you're sort of running out of patience for it, will test, you know, kind of push Classic Sonic's range of his jump to the very edge. And it feels a little restrictive and frustrating in a way that modern Sonic kind of doesn't, because he overcomes that with things like the boost. So it can make precision jumps a little difficult. Large chain of enemies make it a little more difficult. Now, things like the lightning shield do help when you unlock them, and that sort of gives a much greater sense of freedom to Classic Sonic. But by and large, that's always sort of been my big complaint with Classic Sonic in Generations. Anyway, he's worse in other games, don't get me wrong. But, you know, Mania, this is not. And Mania, it's not supposed to be. I think we can talk a little bit about the general sort of setup of Sonic Generations, which I think is a segue into its biggest shortcoming, which is the story. So even by, even by Sonic Team standards, the story's pretty bad. Now, that's not to say that it's, you know, hilariously overwrought like something in Sonic Forces, but it's also, you know, incredibly underdeveloped and undercooked to the point where there might as well not be a story at all. And, you know, it sort of stings a little more, especially in Generations, because of the classic and modern fusion that the game promises. There's ample opportunity for references and callbacks and fun ways to play with the legacy of the franchise over the 20 years that it had been active at the time that this game was released. And Generations does precious little to take advantage of that fantastic opportunity. There's one cute crack that Tails makes about the purple water and chemical plant making him nervous, and that is it, more or less. You know, there's perfunctory references to something like Secret Rings, and that's about it, really. And it's a shame, because there is the potential for so many references with cutscenes of classic and modern Sonic poking through familiar environments, running through Speed Highway again, or classic Sonic experiencing Crisis City for the first time and kind of looking around and thinking, what the hell did I stumble into, you know? Really playing on those elements, and Generations delivers none of that, you know? I think a lot of Sonic stories, especially for adventure-era fans, they've had pretty sour thoughts on stories since Colors, ever since a certain writing team took over, and the writing tended to skew a little more, I'm going to say, childish and leaning toward a younger audience. Again, sort of a preference there, especially if you're used to, you know, whatever you want to call the adventure style of story. But there's no question that it's really a missed opportunity here in Generations. And what little story there is pretty, you know, it's not very satisfying, is it? There's, you know, you see little dribs and drabs of, you know, classic Sonic learning the homing attack, or coming to terms with, you know, one character mentioning to to Classic Sonic. Did you gain weight thinking it's modern Sonic because, you know, Classic Sonic's a little pudgier? And him kind of being like, oh, what are you talking about, man? And getting all upset. That's funny. And unfortunately, there's just very, very little of that in Generations. And that, combined with sort of some weaknesses in Classic Sonic's control scheme, are where I think Generations falls down the most. There are a couple of other nitpicks and issues here and there, but by and large, you know, those are its major, I'm not going to say failures, but shortcomings, because overall, you know, as I've said, Generations is pretty much, by and large, the most polished and overall most cohesive, I'm going to say, modern Sonic game that's come out, in terms of just general ability of people to enjoy it. You know, this is one that I think regularly a lot of people, especially non-fans, like, you know, non-hardcore fans, can come back to over and over again and enjoy. Unlike something maybe like, I don't know, Heroes or maybe Unleashed, because the cracks don't really show as much in Generations. It's very polished mechanically. And a lot of that comes into play with modern Sonic here. He controls incredibly well. Things like the drift here are super satisfying to pull off. The moves feel great. Again, very responsive, especially on PC in 60 frames per second. If your rig can handle it, it's absolutely, I think, the definitive way to play Generations. And it's very positive in that regard. Very few complaints about how modern Sonic handles and controls. I think it's quite possibly the best this boost gameplay has ever felt. My sort of tagline for it, if we could combine the mechanics of Generations with the art style and general presentation level design of Unleashed, we'd have the perfect boost era game. But that's you know, opinion on my part, and I'm sure many of you feel otherwise. Now, one thing we can talk about while we're here is the hub world. So, affectionately kind of known as white space, you sort of run around literally through time, in a way, where you kind of explore each era of Sonic's history, classic, adventure, and modern, and see each stage and kind of bring color and life back to the world. It works and it doesn't. So you kind of, it does give you a physical way to explore these periods of Sonic's history, which is cool, and it kind of links them all together in a sort of existential kind of way, which is neat. But there are a few, you know, shortcomings as well. Primarily, I think the shortcomings come with actually physically navigating the home world, or the hub world, to get to all these different mission gates. I just personally think, especially if you're just kind of trying to grind them out, then it wears on you after some time, and you just don't want to... Oh, now we get the secret ring song. You just don't want to do it after a while. You want to just clear the missions. If you could access them all from one menu, that might make things a little easier if you just, you know, had the option to scroll through them. Or maybe you prefer this approach, and that's up to you, I suppose. I do really like the mission structure of sort of the optional content for Generations as you explore through it. So if you missed all of our playthrough of this for some reason, you'll know that you have to complete only one mission, I believe, per zone in the game to progress. You don't have to grind through a ton of extra filler content. It does make the game a little shorter overall, but it does provide for you to sort of pick and choose the extra content you want to go with, so you're not being forced through 6 short acts that are, you know, 45 seconds to a minute apiece, where not all of them gel necessarily. You can find some of the content that works for you. I think it also helps that in terms of quality of content, Generations is better than almost any other game in the Sonic series. There's very little filler in terms of that extra content. Most of the missions are very good, and, you know, they range in what they are, and a lot of them are pretty creative. You have doppelganger races where you just basically race a ghost of Sonic to the finish, beat him or don't. You have specific objectives like finish with 1 ring, or, you know, use this elemental shield, and if you beat the mission, you get it to use anywhere in the game, which is really fun. There's all sorts of stuff like that. The missions are relatively varied, which is nice. And the incentive to beat them all comes with the additional artwork and music tracks that you unlock as you tear through them. So as you've seen, as we've gone through each of these different missions, you'll get either a new music track to play over any stage you want, or concept art, depending on which mission you undertake. And that's a great approach. I think that the long and short of it is the side content in Generations is some of the best in the series, and that really helps elevate it to a level above some of the other Sonic games where they either sort of lack that side content, or what side content they have is really sort of unappealing. So we have a few skills that we don't have here, so let's take a look at these real quick. Power Stomp creates a shockwave when Stomp is used. I want that. We have a ton of points. That's not a big deal. Endless Boost. You can't get rings. That's interesting. We're going to buy that anyway. I don't know if we're going to equip it necessarily. We can buy all of these, right? Begin with 10 rings after restart. Don't really need it. Get an extra life when you're out. I don't know that we need any of these, but we're going to buy them anyway. You can buy extra lives, which I guess is nice. The skills are another thing that I guess we can touch on now that we're here. A fun way to sort of mix up how you play the game. So when you go back and you know, go through Chemical Plant Modern for the 10th time, it can be a fun way to sort of mix up how it happens. And here's something that we haven't played through yet, Supersonic. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in, and maybe we'll poke around on Supersonic a little bit. I think that's for Classic and Modern. So let's go ahead and try them out. How about in Sky Sanctuary? 50 rings to get them. Let's see if we can do it. We'll take a quick pause in talking about the game. Wow, this is going to be tougher than I thought. If there are any points that we haven't touched on yet, you know, presentation, some minute details in the mechanics that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet, put those in the chat, and I'll be getting to them after we explore with Supersonic just a little bit here. Just to kind of get a feel for some of the things that we missed when we were sort of trying to barrel through the game. Now see, that jump was just barely, you know, at the edge of Supersonic's jump radius. So you really kind of have to maximize that distance whenever you can. Of course, that spin dash just ridiculously overpowered. And I miss it by 5 rings. 3 rings left. Even with the speed up, he doesn't feel that much looser, if you know what I mean. It's tough to describe unless you're really there. I have miscalculated. Is it only for Modern Sonic that we get Supersonic? Supersonic, we messed up, folks. You would think that I would have done my research, but hey, that's not what we're about here. TSSZ Plus. Or was the skill set not put on? I was on the wrong skill set for Classic Sonic. That's a rookie mistake. Oh, let's try that again, folks. Good times are had by all. So what haven't we touched on so far, especially with the mechanics of Sonic Generations, that you want us to discuss? Please, wow, I'm not paying attention at all. Please put that in chat now, and we will talk about that as the stream progresses. But now we got it figured out. This is fine. Something is up with the frame rate here. Getting a little unresponsive on me. Everyone's, you know, favorite nice responsive Sonic controls. I'm not sure if you can see the judder. We should be in full 60 FPS tonight. Now, we're not going to make that because Sonic's jump radius is a little sad. Damn, man. That's what you get. We are up and at him here. Alright, undeterred. We continue on. Classic Sonic. There we go. That'll help. Boop. Not today, boys. There we go. We're gonna get ourselves a little Classic Sonic action, or excuse me, Supersonic action. Or not? Did I miss something again? Or does he just not work? It's entirely possible that I actually didn't equip it again, which would be super embarrassing. And then at this point, we're just going to go over to Modern. I actually don't remember if Classic Sonic has a super form in this game or not. Again, there's some of that really dynamic level design that we love to see in Generations that a lot of the later Boost games lack, especially Forces in terms of that raw spectacle. Again, that Generations and Unleashed just do so well. Bye-bye. So I think we're going to wrap this stage up, see what I did wrong. Classic Sonic can go Supersonic, and yet... Sure doesn't seem that way, does it? I got no prompt at all. I don't know, I'm sure I missed something. We will check after this act, because now I'm kind of invested. I want to get through Sky Sanctuary again. That's just hilarious that you can do that. I changed my mind, even though we're right at the end there. Check the sets, yep. So, one thing that we can also talk about... Okay, scale customization. Yeah, we're on skill set B, which is... not there! What gives? Did you not see me save it? Alright, well now there's no way we could have possibly messed this up, right? It's there. Now you saw me confirm it back at the shop, right? That is insane. Alright, well, it's not happening there. Let's find a nice open stage where Supersonic will be really cool. That'll be City Escape. Again, we're gonna like triple check that this is gonna work. And there it is. So let's do it. And we only have an A rank here, so this might be the the one that finally pushes us over the edge if I can avoid getting hit. Now then. One thing that I do want to talk about, you might have to remind me to do this, is the stages that were selected. There we go. Doesn't change the background music. Is that a positive? Do you like when it has its own Supersonic theme, or do you prefer that it just sort of sticks with whatever music you had set here? Now look at him go. Not sure that it messes with his jump height all that much. I do really like the swirl that it puts on him, though. Functionally, though, he really doesn't feel all that different. Maybe a little bit faster to start moving to the left and right, but that's about it. You know, you still really rely on the spin dash to get Supersonic moving. Definitely not the, like, huge, ridiculous upgrade you get in others. And now we're gonna pop out of it. That was really good timing on my part. So that, you know, that is embarrassing enough to make us not want to do that anymore. So let's take Modern into... I know what we're doing. We're going to take Modern Supersonic and get him into Rooftop Run. That is a classic. Very, very nice. And away we go. Generally a lot more rings around here, too, if I recall correctly. Risk it. Gotta make sure we get Supersonic here. That's gonna be important. Getting him ASAP. The whole point of this, right? Rings, please. It's all about the rings. As I missed them all, but they do suck to you, that's right. Welcome to Sonic Generations Basics, folks. God damn! Do I get to suck any of those up? I don't. It's going to take a little longer. Hopefully it's worth it. If there were more rings over there. I wanted them, and we just fall all over the place. Game doesn't care. Game does not care. Keep it going. It's certainly a far cry from Sonic Unleashed, where you can just spit rings, it seems. You know, there are a lot of stages in there. I used to do what I would call 1,000 ring runs and just challenge myself to try to get 1,000 rings on the stage. And here we go. Super Sonic is alive and well. Now you just kind of go nuts. Of course, very nice to have him playable. We died there, we did not. Ooh. Does make it a little touchier, and we didn't die there either. It's our lucky day, folks. Maybe a little increased jump height, not sure on that. Whoa, there we go. Oh, look at that boost, though! And we're out of rings already. That's super disappointing. You caught a glimpse of that ridiculous boost power. That just makes Super Sonic a blast. We're going to see if we can get him back here real quick as we go into this last little portion, which will actually be great for it. So it's sort of scripted in where you can and cannot transform. Looks like in any scripted bits it's impossible. And there you go. He just floats way above the stage. And I can't even drift like you are. You can't quick step left and right. You are just kind of locked onto your path, and you're dead. So there you go. That drains rings very quickly, it looked like. Let's see if we can replicate that a little bit. One of the caveats with this, I suppose. Really? Alright, well. You know, if I was actually good at this game, we would have a lot more Super Sonic to play through here. We're actually going to finish the stage. Getting back to some of what we were talking about before. The level choices for Generations. So we can sort of hack that out a little bit before we get into the overall presentation, and then we're going to kind of wind down talking about Generations, because there's not a whole lot to criticize. We got something. I don't know what we got. We sped through it. Was it maybe some music? Let's see. Mushroom Hill, open your heart. Might have been Mushroom Hill. Let this be amended. Alright, so in thinking of those mainline Sonic games and trying to pick out one of the most easily recognizable zones from that game, excuse me, we get the 9 here in Generations that we have. Obviously, Green Hill is a given. At this point, I think we're sort of Green Hilled out as a bunch of fans. But at the time, you know, it was still... Green Hill was still sort of fresh in everyone's mind, nostalgically speaking. So it was fun to see that return in its reimagined form for the first time with the, you know, the tiki heads everywhere and it looking really cool. Chemical Plant is an obvious one from Sonic 2. The only comparable ones that you may have had otherwise would be maybe something like Oil Ocean or, you know, Casino Night, maybe, which is included as DLC with the pinball. But that's about it. Sky Sanctuary, a great choice, I think, from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Arguably, you could have something like Carnival Night may fit the theme. Ice Cap would certainly be a fan favorite. You know, everybody loves Ice Cap, and it doesn't pop up too much, but the music issues may have caused a problem there. Possibly Flying Battery as a standalone zone. But that is referenced in Rooftop Run, of course. So Sky Sanctuary, a pretty good fit. And then we start getting into some of the more obvious cliches. Speed Highway is, of course, the most iconic stage, I think, from Sonic Adventure besides Emerald Coast. And I'm really not sure what else you would pick from Adventure that really stands out like that. Kind of sucks to have 2 city levels in a row like this, but City Escape is still one of the most obvious ones from Adventure 2. Otherwise, possibly something like Green Forest, I guess, but I'd personally go with something like Final Rush, but just in terms of like iconic segments from that game, but you can't really throw Final Rush in the middle of the game. It doesn't make sense. And then, I don't really know what you'd do for Heroes. Seaside Hill is one of my least favorite stages in the game, just because it's really similar thematically to something like Green Hill. It doesn't feel as different as it could, maybe. We're already kind of repeating level tropes as it is. So maybe a little difficult to justify. Out of Sonic Heroes, I'm not sure what else you would pick, though. Maybe Mystic Mansion. You know, the haunted level is kind of iconic in Heroes. Grand Metropolis, but that might just be Radical Soda making it popular. That I'm not sure. I mean, we really should have just stayed away from this game entirely, but if you insist, Crisis City's probably the best choice. Kingdom Valley would have possibly been a reasonable substitute, although we kind of already have the natural themes covered. That said, it's also the third city level out of 9 stages. You know, there's only 9 zones in the game, and 4 of them are city-based, so it's kind of a heavily tread. White Acropolis, maybe, since we don't have a snow level in this game, I don't think. That said, the Hang Castle would have been a good one. Any of the haunted stages from Heroes might have made sense. I could maybe argue for White Acropolis, but if you're just going based on recognizability for casual fans, it's probably Crisis City, if we're being honest. Rooftop Run, a phenomenal choice from Unleashed. Again, sort of scraping with the city theme, which isn't ideal. If there's anything else that's iconic out of Unleashed, it might be Apatos. Apatos would sort of fit. Sorta. What else? Missouri would have been a good choice also, but it's sort of coming late in the game. You really can't argue with Rooftop Run too much. And then Planet Wisp, again, is probably a solid choice out of Sonic Colors. Tropical Resort would make sense, but toward the end of the game, you're kind of getting away from those feels. Dragon Road is a good one from Unleashed. A lot of Colors would make sense here, because a lot of those environments are pretty unique. Aquarium Park is great. Sweet Mountain is great. Asteroid Coaster is nice. Noah is in the chat. I see you even texting me, Noah. We can bring you on with audio if you would like, and we can talk about some of this in more detail. So, you know, maybe we're going to take a break and try to figure out exactly that. So while we go to break and we finish talking about Generations as we continue here, a couple of things to note. So because this is a trial period for some of the new stuff that we're running here on TSSZ Plus, there's going to be some differences in how we do it tonight. The viewer poll and trivia time are still around. None of it is chat-based anymore, so you can still post your answers, you can still talk about it, but there's not going to be a poll on screen at this point. And tonight's giveaway, if there's anyone watching on YouTube, we're going to start doing a better job of integrating both of those platforms together. So trivia time tonight, we can potentially have 2 winners, one from Twitch and one from YouTube, and you have a choice of prizes. If you live in the continental US or Canada, you can choose from either a Sonic Forces foil art piece, which, you know, we still have a ton of right here, and it is very pretty, or, as we've been giving away, a Sonic Mania Adventures poster, which is very nice. Looks great in most rooms of your house. Very, very fancy. So that is going to be up to you guys. And that all depends, of course, on the trivia time question coming at you now. We will see if we can get Noah in the chat here, and we will be right back. You are watching TSSZ Plus, and this is the finale of TSSZ Plays Sonic Generations. Do not go anywhere. Alright everybody, welcome back. You are watching TSSZ Plays, and this is the finale of TSSZ Plays Sonic Generations. We should have Noah available with us here on stream right now to talk about everything Sonic Generations. Noah, are you with us?
I think so. Can everybody hear me?
Welcome to the party. So now, as we keep things rolling here, a couple things. This is the new break time screen. Hope you like it. The viewer poll this time around: is Sonic Generations the best boost-style Sonic game? I saw one or two people with an emphatic yes, and as we've discussed previously, it's kind of hard to disagree. Trivia time this time around. Only one stage from one handheld Sonic game is featured in Sonic Generations. Which stage is it? The answer comes from the 3DS version of Sonic Generations, and that is Water Palace. From Sonic Rush, the original Sonic Rush, so I believe Crush 14 was the only person who submitted a right answer, so you win whichever of the two prizes you want. That is either a Sonic Forces foil art or the Sonic Mania Adventures poster. Take your pick.
And give it to a friend.
And give it to a friend. It is yours to do with as you please. So again, Noah is with us here. Not in audio form, but in spirit. And
I just want to say that is a very good break time screen.
Oh, thank you. As I've said, tonight is sort of a trial run for a lot of the new back-end stuff and fun new graphical things that are going to be powering TSSZ Plus in the coming months and beyond.
Nice.
So that's all going to be super fun, and you're getting a glimpse of it here today. We're going to roll out the rest of it with our next big plays series. Coming up soon. We're going to go back to that screen for just a second because I lost Generations again, so we have to restart it. Real quality stuff here, folks. It's only been a
couple of pros here at TSSZ.
The last couple times, but that's okay.
You just get to look at the cool break time screen again.
Yeah, that's all you get. And we are back, folks. So, Crush 14, if you could just DM us that choice at TSSZ News on Twitter with your full name and mailing address. We'll get that out to you at some point. Rare Foil, I did not forget about your prize. I promise. It really seems like I have, but I have not. Alright, so what have we talked about so far that we're going to elaborate on some more? We were talking about the choices of stages for Generations. I think we pretty well hashed that out, unless there are additional thoughts that maybe, Noah, you might have that we skipped over.
I'm interested in your Final Rush love.
And what about Final Rush?
I'm interested in your love for Final Rush. I think you said you would have preferred Final Rush. Did I hear that right?
I just really have a soft spot for Final Rush. I'm not sure why. And in terms of like super iconic, easily recognizable levels from SA2, casual fans aren't going to remember Final Rush. They do remember Cityscape. But I don't know. Final Rush, I love the emphasis on rails. I love how kind of open and it is, and the mechanics just feel really good in Final Rush. I've always loved it.
Cool.
So that would have been neat.
But that truck, though.
Oh, see, I mean, that's the thing. Cityscape's so much more iconic. You really can't take it out.
I really feel like it would have been, if they really would have picked probably the most iconic stage from each game, it would have just been the first level of every game, and they're already close to that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're super close, because there's, a lot of it is, Seaside Hill is it, Cityscape is it, Speed Highway's in, like, the first half of Adventure, right?
Yeah.
Chemical Plant is the second zone, Green Hill's the first,
Let's be honest, like, Emerald Coast is way more iconic, but Seaside Hill's the same thing, and so is Wave Ocean, so it's just like, the only one that gets me that I think is weird is, I think Sky Sanctuary is the weirdest choice.
It's definitely a little more oddball, because it's probably not what you immediately think of when you think Sonic 3 and Knuckles, right?
Yeah, I do like, though, that that's their way of saying, yes, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, it's just one game. You know what I mean? It's actually
it is one uniform entity, and deal with it. If not Sky Sanctuary, then what else?
Somebody said Lava Leaf Reef could have been cool. I would think, so again, my gut wants to say Angel Island is so cool,
but again, it overlaps theme-wise so much. I think
Hydrocity's really cool, but it would look too much like the indoor sections of Seaside Hill.
That's true. Although, it would maybe give you a license to explore what some other pieces of Hydrocity would look like outside of the normal caverny bit that you get in Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Which, I guess Mania sorta does, but not really. Because that...
Oh! Actually, how the heck... That actually... As soon as I think it sounds like a nightmare in 3D. I was gonna say Flying Battery.
That, yeah, that would... That was my... I think we mentioned that before you came on. It would make sense, because it is a little visually different. They do get the nod in Rooftop Run's modern stage. But that would have been reasonable.
What about Mushroom Hill? I've been dope, right?
That might have worked. See,
that's what I'm Jolly
is getting honest. It's Hydro City according to Generations music list, but it is Hydrocity actually, so bite me.
Wait. Did I say Hydrocity?
I think you did.
That's funny. I used to be very adamant about it. It's Hydro City, dadgummit.
I am exclusively Hydrocity, and I do not.
I think people just said it so many different ways so much that I don't even care or know what I'm saying half the time.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it makes the most sense that it's Hydro City, but yeah.
So while we're talking about the stages, I think we can kind of touch on one of, I think, the biggest missed opportunities in Generations is, besides the story, is DLC. So I'm gonna put down the controller for this one.
Could you imagine?
Somewhere where the music doesn't loop horribly. Why don't we have this? So think back to Unleashed's DLC strategy. You had additional, basically hard mode stages and some shorter acts for each zone in the game, each world that you go to. Generations is literally tailor-made for that. Either new areas and more reimagining of the 9 stages we already have, or new zones from the other, from the games that we have that weren't fit into the main game. So if you wanted to throw Hydrocity in as a one-off, sure, you got it. If you want, if Chunnan really tickles your fancy, Dragon Road, maybe it could be there. That's a lot more work asset-wise, which I'm assuming is why they didn't do it. But there's no DLC for Generations level-wise at all, and I don't understand.
Yeah, just make more like, make a Planet Wisp Act 3 or something, you know what I mean? Or for Act 3's for each stage.
Right. So
like,
that's
when you
also...
play Lost World, do you think Generations DLC died for this?
Yeah.
How
sad is that? If it was a better game, then maybe I'd feel a little less strongly about it. But it's not. Ooh.
Got him, coach.
But we have our own thoughts on Lost World. Not today. So, what I think we touched on before you got here, the biggest disappointments I think in Generations are its sort of lack of DLC and its story. So even by Sonic Team standards, the story in Generations is pretty bad. What incredibly little there is, some will appreciate the incredibly bare-bones story, but as sort of the foundation for tons of references and fun callbacks and clever pokes at Sonic's history, you get the one reference of Tails and Chemical Plant, like, that purple water's scary, and that's it, more or less.
That's what happens when the riders don't know Sonic Super.
They don't know how Sonic works, and they mention, like, we saved a genie from a lamp.
It's like, well, I looked for the Wikipedia article, and there's some game called Sonic Secret Rings.
Right, exactly.
Throw that one in there.
Actually, and you know what else the DLC could have done now that I'm thinking about it? Touch on those other games, maybe the side games that didn't get a full feature. A stage from CD, a stage from Secret Rings, a stage from Advance 2, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? You got like ridiculously way too into the story I am of this game. The story actually doesn't really bother me in this game because it's like, I mean, come on, we just needed an excuse to go back and play these levels.
That's really all it is.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of okay with that because I'm like, that's all it is. It's just such a good game. Otherwise, that it actually doesn't bother me. Can you believe that?
And that is, we talked about this a lot, sort of in the first half of the stream, but mechanically, Sonic Generations is so incredibly sound that you are kind of willing to overlook those other shortcomings to a degree, because there's just so much goodness in the core game.
A good solid Sonic game. It's what other people think Colors is what I think Generations is.
Basically, and it's kind of hard to argue that Generations fits the bill more than Colors does in terms of a more traditional Sonic experience with level design that matches the flow of it, and areas that sort of open up a little more, give you room to roam around in modern Sonic's stages. Slopes. Just, you know, not everything's a square, which is kind of fun. I've soured a little bit on colors lately, if you haven't noticed.
Really?
Yeah, you know,
sorry I did this to you.
Times change and so must I. But very, very mechanically sound Generations is.
Yo, Red Foil, what you talking about? I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Someone ported the game to PC specifically to make up for no DLC. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure there were no DLC plans for Generations at all. Regardless,
I mean,
a company called Devil's Details ported this to PC. I don't know if it was it after it came out on console? I don't know.
I did not know that.
Yep. I think Devil's Details, I think, has done a lot of PC work for the Sonic titles in the past few years. I think they probably brought Lost World to PC, which is, funnily enough, the better way to play Lost World if you're going to play it at all. I don't recommend you do, but you could if you want.
Oh, so it's Dimps helped with the Windows version as well, if you can believe that.
And Dimps did the 3DS version as well, I think. Oops. That would be one that we may revisit, you know, later on. But it's also pretty bad, I guess.
It released 2 days later.
Okay.
So not that big a deal.
Close enough. Let's see. I'm just gonna... There's more music I don't have. There's a lot of music I don't have.
Just a conspiracy theory.
I'm just gonna throw some stuff on in the background. One thing that we haven't touched on yet is...
Metal Harbor?
You want Metal Harbor? Alright.
I like Metal Harbor a lot.
Do I have it?
I saw it. I thought.
Probably up there. Yeah, alright. So one thing that we haven't touched on yet is the sort of presentation elements of Generations. The art direction, the graphics, the sound, the music. All, again, firing on pretty much all cylinders here in Generations. It looks lovely. If you have a powerful PC that's able to do the anti-aliasing, run it in full 1080p, if it goes higher, maybe. Great looking game. Arguably, I think not as good looking as Unleashed because the lighting effects aren't as good. But certainly no slouch, and in some ways you could argue that it does look better than something like Lost World or Forces. Definitely a relative peak in terms of graphical quality for Sonic. Music is interesting because there's almost no original music in Sonic Generations. There's a handful of...
And yet we forgive it for that, because it's all good.
There's a handful of tunes for the cutscene, and then the Time Eater fight gets its own song. And that's about it. The rest of it is carefully constructed remixes, and a lot of features, thankfully, from the games that didn't make the full cut. So you get remixes from Sonic Rush, you get tracks from the advanced games, Secret Rings, games like that that didn't get full representation here.
It's kind of like Smash Bros, if you ask me. You know what I mean? It's like a collection of older songs and remixes of new remixes of them as well.
That's
and
true.
June's Joy.
which is great, and you know, I think a lot of people allow that because they are fond of those tracks, and you know, it's generally speaking a really good selection of what's available. So they let it go. Again, the original stuff, what little there is, isn't amazing, but that's kind of not the focus. So it goes. What else haven't we drilled into yet? It makes you wonder why they were so eager to get away from this style, because Generations basically perfected what Unleashed and Colors started. And then they immediately throw it all out with Lost World, which takes several steps back. And then
Forces, I don't understand Forces at all.
Forces sort of is steps forward and backward at the same time, especially relative to Lost World. Neither classic nor modern feel as good as they do in Generations. There's a lot of problems that hold them back. The Avatar character does little to sort of enhance it, I think. But it's not a shit on Forces screen. The takeaway from that, I think, is Generations had the mechanics on lock, and Sonic Team threw it all away, and I don't know why. Such is life, I guess.
Such is life, man. Sonic Cycle, baby.
Why is Sonic 06 here? That's a good
You know, how funny would it have been? Imagine Aaron Weber, director of this game. I'm just kidding. Like you get to Sonic 06, and it's just like a question mark, and then you just go to the next stage.
You know, it would be really funny. They come up to Crisis City, maybe just kind of like get sucked into the ether since they basically, you know, reset the world at the end of that game. So it's like, whoa, where'd it go?
Or it should have, like,
you know,
once you restored it, you've been like, why did you do that? You always want the best.
No! Silver or Blaze pop out of nowhere. What have you done? And you gotta go fight Iblis or something. The less time we spend in 06's world, the better, I think. Still yet to play that on stream, and if I have my way, we never will. So we've covered a lot of Generations here now. Noah, I don't know how much you missed initially, but thoughts on Generations before I kind of break it down and give my final opinion on it.
Generations is just a good Sonic game, man. It's short, but it's good while it's there. I would recommend Generations probably to anyone. It's just a good game, man. It's fun.
That is true. It's one of the most well-crafted Sonic games in terms of, like, there's not a lot of cruft. There's not a lot of, you know, I think it really only stumbles once it gets to Planet Wisp and the Time Eater in terms of zones that just really don't work super well. A lot of Sonic games will stumble well before the end of the game. Like, Lost World starts stumbling somewhere around, like, maybe the halfway point. Games like Heroes or Shadow or something like that have their own problems that nuke those games well before they're over. Generations seems to make it nearly all the way to the end without things getting significantly worse at any point, which is kind of an achievement for this franchise, which is sad. But when you think about it, it's mechanically sound, it's relatively free of cruft. If you can play it on a reasonably high-spec PC, that's probably the most fluid and fun way to enjoy it. Full 1080p, anti-aliasing, 60 frames per second, all that makes it look great, and it's super responsive. For a game that's entirely built on looking backward, that's great, and it does a great job of sort of integrating bits of the past in while having a big letdown story-wise in terms of really getting fun with the nostalgia. A block. Color stumbles after the third level. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that. But again, it's not stream about colors either. I think, you know, if you had to put it all together, it's one of the most solid 3D entries that Sonic has ever had. If I had to score it, this is where it gets tough, because I'd probably give it like an 8.5, but on our scale that doesn't exist. So do you give it 4 out of 5 and be mean, or do you give it 4.5 out of 5 and risk being too positive? That's the conflict.
I give it a heck yeah out of 6.
A heck yeah out of 6. That's good. We're going with that. Heck yeah out of 6. You heard it here first, folks.
Did you ever try to, with this game, go back and replay the stages and try to beat your time, just to beat your time?
Absolutely.
That's such a good part. Which I think it's really cool, because that, you know, that was sort of kind of the impetus of the very first Sonic game. The more you play it, the faster you get, you know. So
exactly.
It's very pure in that way.
It holds to those core tenets of the series really well. You want to just keep playing them over and over to make your time just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And Generations is one of many that does that super well.
You know, I like Adventure better, but if you're gonna do boots, dude, this is how to do it.
I can't hear you over the game. I was gonna get some more supersonic action in here, but I literally can't hear what you're saying.
Herpa-derpa-derpa-derp.
That's, yeah, words. It's great. So while you're here, if there's anything else that you think of Generations-wise, feel free to interject, because at this point, I'm just going to start ranting on about what's coming up for TSSZ Plus. So, it's been a long road with everybody. It's been, I think, about 2.5 years since we first launched TSSZ Plus as an initiative here.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Hold my walker. What?
It's,
2.5 years? Are you serious?
July or August of 16, we launched with Sonic Unleashed as our very first game that we played, and we've come a long way since then. And we're not slowing down. So, as you may have heard...
And, like, how much of that was Shadow?
Oh, God, too much. That was like a solid 6 or 7 months by itself. Regret. So much regret. The next big playthrough coming in February is going to be, unfortunately, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. So hold on to your butts. I gotta find my Wii U and pop that one in and hate myself for, I don't know, however long it takes. Thankfully, we have a lot of additional content coming on Plays that is going to augment just us playing mainline and side Sonic games based on some of the feedback that we've received from all of you on our TSSZ Plus feedback survey. If you haven't taken it yet, we have links pinned on our Twitter as well as on the main site, TSSZnews.com. If you provide a full set of feedback for us, you may be eligible to win a $10 gift card for the gaming console of your choice, which is great if you provide us with some solid feedback on how to make TSSZ Plus better. A lot of people already have, and here's some of what we have in store for you based on your own responses. We've heard a lot of people respond with, and kind of the number one request that we've had is more community and fan content. I think it's very clear that most of you out there want to see more mods on stream. You want to see fan games on stream. You want to see more integration with the community. I don't blame you. That's certainly something that we can do better with. And starting with some of our streams in February, we're going to be doing exactly that. Earlier, a few weeks ago, we announced TSSZ Play Sonic Generations mods, which will be coming in the weeks and months ahead. We will be playing some of the most popular and maybe some of the more obscure mods for Generations here on PC to start integrating some of that fan-made content in. We've also had some other requests. I'm thinking of 2 or 3 of the big ones. That was one of the biggest ones. The second biggest request, I think, was integrating what we do with when you guys watch. That means multiplayer content, fan mods, where you play with us as we stream. I think it's a great idea. A lot of people seem to be on board with that, and the responses in the feedback survey reflect that, so we're going to start thinking about ways where you can play along with us while we stream. We used to kind of do that with Sonic Forces Speed Battle when we played that on the regular.
Sonic, the visual novel. Telltale game. Everyone make your quote.
Yeah, it's like sort of like Twitch plays Pokemon, Twitch plays Sonic. You guide us through something. That would be
that would be impossible.
That would really be impossible. It would have to be. It almost have to be some like turn. Like have to be Sonic Shuffle or something.
Sonic Labyrinth.
Never again. No Sonic Labyrinth. What else? The other biggest request: non-Sonic games. We've dabbled with that in things like Plays Super Monkey Ball, which we've sort of touched on really sporadically. So what we're going to start doing is integrating more non-SEGA franchises into Plays, starting with maybe some more obscure properties and then moving into the big ones. So that means things like Shenmue, that means things like Yakuza, that means things like Binary Domain or Alpha Protocol, that means things like
Rystar,
classic arcade ones, Rystar, Golden Axe, you name it, you can probably get it on the docket. Outrun, all these classics can come to Plays. People already like Rystar. Samba de Amigo could be on the list. Space Channel 5, we can get weird with it, folks.
Dude, so, Comic Zone.
Comic Zone, we can play all of those fun ones. Gunstar Heroes. See, it's a never-ending stream of stuff once we really start opening it up to non-Sonic games, and you'll see all of that coming in the months ahead. Again, the only one we've announced officially so far is Rise of Lyric. That's coming sometime mid-February. Knack 2, baby! No, that's not a SEGA. You silly goose.
Knack 2 Group 3.
Although that I would play anyway. Let's get real. So those are some of the big ones. We of course have more feedback, and there's other games that are other streams that are planned, especially some one-off special content. But you'll just have to wait and see for that. Full result of the stream, or excuse me, the feedback survey will be revealed in early February when it closes. Other than that, stay tuned for more. what else? You've kind of caught a glimpse of what the new look for Plus is going to look like as we bring it into a new era. You know, the new holding screen there. We've stripped out a lot of elements to kind of simplify the look and kind of centered them all into that break time screen. That's just kind of how it's going to be. We're especially making an effort to integrate more of our YouTube viewers into this on a regular basis, so the Twitch chat voting is probably going away, unfortunately, to make it a little more accommodating for YouTube. Things like that. Keep an eye out for the finished product, probably with Rise of Lyric, and that'll be fun. So that's most of what's coming up for TSSZ Plus. We're also going to do a better job of getting the word out about streams. That was another big piece of feedback we had. Do better at advertising Plus, we will. In terms of not just when streams are happening, but what the service actually is, because a lot of respondees, basically their whole survey was, what's TSSZ Plus? Did you mean the main site? And then we got feedback about Donnie's article. Clearly we're not doing enough, and that's going to change.
Did any of them say shut up, Donnie?
No. Actually, it was, there was some interesting feedback that I'm not prepared to share. We read it all.
What you do?
So, that's going to about... Well, that's all the updates we have in terms of what's coming up for TSSZ Plus. Hell yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit, all of that. That's good stuff. We'll see what happens. Back to Generations real quick. One thing I think that it's missing, on the console versions, you get Sonic 1 included here. Not so on PC, but you can literally just exit out to Steam and go play Sonic 1, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
What else? What did I miss? Anything big? I feel like that's most of it.
Yeah, nothing big, man. Other little stuff. That shadow fight, though, man.
What about it?
I don't know, it's just really good. Actually, all the boss fights, man. Perfect Chaos. I feel like what's really cool to me with the Perfect Chaos fight is that it feels like this is what they wanted to do the first time.
Right.
Now we can do it, you know? And that just feels good, man.
We do love this fight, you know what? Maybe we'll run through it just once for old time's sake here before we sign off, at the risk of hold down the select button in the red room. What's the select button on my console? Is it back? Is it...
Maybe back.
I'll try it. Once we get out of the Perfect Chaos fight, because you gotta do it. What I really love about this is how awesome Chaos looks.
Yeah, because you know what I was saying, like, this is what they wanted to do. If you look at concept art for the original 1998 game, he looked more like this, so they couldn't do it on the Dreamcast hardware.
Right. And I love just the overall approach to him is just it utilizes the sort of open design of modern Sonic stages really well. It really feels epic, much like that original fight did. The remix is solid. It's not intrusive. It sort of keeps most of the energy of the original tune without going too far in that direction.
Dude, yeah.
Really solid. I also love how... I'm so good at this. I love how the actual gameplay ramps up just as the lyrics come in with the
yeah.
Phenomenal timing. And it's that sort of attention to detail that I really appreciate in Generations. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Dude, Perfect Chaos is top tier anime betrayal.
Right? Oh, here we go. Run out of boost real quick.
I like how it has all the so many different paths.
It's really elaborate level design for a boss fight too. Yeah.
Very good. Like this boss fight is better than most Forces stages.
Honest to God, that's true. Which is both a real credit to this fight and a real knock on Forces.
He burned.
Sick burn, bro. Into it we go. Oh, it's so good. We had a little bit going on in the chat here. Hundjaeger18. I wonder how Iblis would look. I don't know, and ugh. Not too keen on finding out.
Man. I wish I had something more interesting to say about this other than, boy, this is good, but what else can you say?
I mean, that was... How... I am that good. I found the one little narrow hole you can fall in there, and man, did I exploit it. You know what?
Pro strats only here at...
I honestly don't know why anyone watches this. Lost.
Everything is so good, chat.
Hate on my favorite god of destruction, not defense. Sorry, Hunjaeger, it's more an 06 thing than anything. Have I ever tried to beat Perfect Chaos without using boost? I have not. That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. It's just as the Stone Tablets predicted.
It's just as the Gaia manuscripts foretold.
Where does he find these texts, man?
You know what? Actually, I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna beat this without boost. Just because Crush 14 said so.
Yeah.
How do you in like the run up to it? How do you get? Wow, that's gonna be a no, folks. How do you actually get to him without boost?
Boost pad.
Yes. Is there one all the time?
I don't know, man. You're gonna find out. You're gonna learn today.
We're about to find out. Let's take a look here. Wow. Actually, neat. Kind of, and this is in hard mode too, so this is the ultimate form of that challenge.
Are you in hard mode?
I'm in hard.
I didn't know there was a hard mode.
Yes. Yeah, it can be done. Yeah, so I think it adds maybe 1 or 2 more sections. He attacks you a little more often. That's about it. Ooh. Yeah, that's close. The boost meter is gonna be. Oh god. I think we're gonna have to be a little more enterprising about that. Yeah, see, there you go. Now we've got the strats down.
So strats over here.
Oh, this is awkward. That's basically scripted, so that helped me out a little bit.
Guys, how's it feel to be watching the #1 Sonic Generations player on Twitch?
I think, am I the only Sonic Generations player on Twitch? Do I win by default?
That makes you #1.
I'll take it. Winning by default is still winning, folks. Don't let anyone tell you different. We only aspire to be the best. That's your like demotivation. Winning by default is still winning.
That needs to be like a. I'm just picturing a meme with like Big Cat's face on it.
Like the cat hanging from the pole, right? Hang in there, but he falls onto like a bed of pillows.
Yeah.
Winning by default is still winning. Alright, so far so good. Again, welcome back everybody. TSSZ Plus Pro Strats right here, twitch.tv/TSSZ News, youtube.com/100% Sonic Generations live action right here, right now, 1 hour a week, most weeks, most years. Let's get it.
Once you get started, you can't stop.
I think we've done it.
Yeah, dude.
That wasn't that hard.
Wow.
So you have to rethink it a little bit?
You're scrubbing away your scrub status.
Do a dab after that. Are you sure? No. #1 Sonic Pro Strat. Like and subscribe. Sad. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Alright, we did it, folks. That is Perfect Chaos's fight. Anything else we should do while we're here? That's really stupid?
Hold the back button for at least.
Hold the back button.
Red room.
In the red room. Don't I like fall down to the trophies? Is that how that works?
I don't know, man.
Oh, there we go. Down the hole. Enter a password to display a character statue.
What?
See the statue. And we're gone. So that is a fun little secret. Back down the rabbit hole we go.
I've never seen that.
It does. I've seen it exist. But password. Who's got some passwords for me here? Okay, we actually have a couple. 353012. You! Why would you? Oh, it's big. Who would do this? Oh no, so how do I look at it? Does that do anything? It's literally just a huge character model of Big the Cat that I can rotate a little bit, and the music changes. Get those trophy codes rolling in here, folks. We're gonna get all the statues. We're gonna get every single statue. It's probably not true. Right here, right now, TSSZ Plus, TSSZ Plays, Big the Cat, Statue Room, back button, passcode 353012, most nights, most weeks, every day, but not every day.
I just saw this boat in half.
I saw this boat in half. After a day on the water. So it basically now it just turns into Louis B presents Flex Tape for everybody. You want me to? I'll do my best. Phil Swift here with a gummed up nose. Let me try that.
Phil Swift for Smash.
Yeah, that's right. Keep those codes rolling in as I sort of.
Yeah, give us the code for Phil Swift.
Yeah, where's the Phil Swift code? Someone's got to mod that in. That will be the first mod I play on Generations mods. If someone mods Phil Swift into the statue room.
Instead of your boost meter, it's your Swift meter.
And every time you do a trick, it's just like a quote.
That's
actually, so when you get chains of like 6 or 7, each trick is a different piece of the phrase. I sawed this boat in half. That would be great. Everyone would. I would play that. I would never stop playing that.
And they said the Generations modding community was dead. Little did they know, we had Swift cooking up.
We just made it 100 times better. Let's get it. All right, we got a. There's a nice Sonic statue. That's a good one. That is just. That's Sonic the Hedgehog. Wow, didn't know that. We have many, many more here, and then I gotta do my Phil Swift. So hold on, we gotta. We have. There's classic Tails. That's nice and cute. Here's 171. I'm getting a backlog. I gotta work these. I found a link from Steam with code. Should I post it here? You can. I can't really open it on stream, but I can reference it, I guess. But you guys got to pick and choose the ones that you want. There's classic Sonic in his Sonic 1 box art pose, which is a nice touch. Rare Foil's got one here. Let's do this. This reminds me of Blue Sphere. You give me the codes, I punch in the codes. That's one we'll get back to at some point, playing Blue Sphere. There is Amy Rose. That's nice. More codes. Let's take a look at more codes. Who voiced that? Do we know who did the voiceover for that?
That was my Uncle Jim.
Okay. It wasn't Sonic Team's one lone sound guy, right?
Oh, is it Bill?
Bill. Yeah, Bill. You may remember, longtime viewers, our running joke, because the sound effects in Sonic games suck a lot of the time, there's just one overworked sound effect guy, Bill.
He's just killing it over there.
He gets like $50 every Sonic game to make all the sound effects with.
Yeah.
He does his best. Hey, there's Chip.
And about 5 hours of sleep.
Rare foil on that one. Oh, there's so many codes. I gotta do my Phil Swift. I'm punching in codes. This is what my nights become.
Shit.
You know, these are the sacrifices I make for everybody.
Chip Swift.
Gotta get Swifty.
I just ate this chocolate in half.
Chip Swift. Is that what you want? That's gonna be. You're testing my voice acting abilities here. I'll try.
Dude, I had no idea all these Jet and all these people were in here.
Yeah, right? What did I just get? I didn't even look at it. A Chow? A Hero Chow. Look at that. So many codes. Alright. Couple more codes here. 292. That is Villain Chow or whatever it's called. Dark Chow. I don't know any of that. 544873. Are there any codes to make another good 3D Sonic game in here? Ooh.
Oh.
Rough, man. Did me dirty on that one.
Yo, just go back to the Hero Chow.
Just go back to.
Look how beautiful he is.
Just don't make heroes again.
He's such a good boy.
He's a good. Who's a good boy?
The Hero Chow, man.
Oh, I thought you said heroes. I was like, why is?
No, Hero Chow, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, look at that. He just wants you to be happy.
I want to protect.
He saw you were sick, so he brought you some chicken soup and some homemade tea, and he hopes you feel better real soon.
He looks very doughy in this.
He does. He's like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Yeah, that's the end of that sentence.
The end of that sentence.
That's all you get.
Alright, moving on.
I did miss one. Is that Amachow? Or, yeah. It is Amachow.
Chow.
Get out of here. Any unpopular Sonic opinion, says Drake's Cove. I'm sure I have plenty. But I'd have to think.
What counts as unpopular? Depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, really, because, like, I will say, you know, I would say that, like, I would rather play Colors in Adventure 1 and Noah's gonna, like, saw my face off. So.
Or saw it in half.
Off and then in half? Oh, I sawed this face in half!
There you go.
That's right. Can I do that now? We gotta get it out of the way. Hi, Phil Swift here for Flex Tape. The easy-to-use tape, great for seals by... Oh, I screwed up. What is it?
That's good enough for me.
The clear, solid, waterproof tape that can instantly patch, bond, seal, and repair. To show you the power of Flex Tape, I sawed this boat in half. He does like the plate glass one through, where he's like, after a day in shark-infested waters... It's always water, too. It's not water.
What?
It even works underwater. The bucket demo where he's like stabbing the bucket.
Dude, wait, there's a part where he says shark-infested waters?
Yeah, there's one where he cuts a hole in a boat. He's like, I cut a hole in another boat.
Oh my god.
He puts a like plexiglass in there.
This one I think
seals it up with Flex whatever, and then he goes into shark-infested waters and looks down at the sharks in his Flex boat.
Just when I think Phil is done, he topped himself.
It gets worse. All right, we got more codes on. Sonic's gonna use Flex Tape during the movie. I might actually watch the movie. That'd be something. Now, honestly though, I'm gonna watch it regardless, and I'm gonna get into full like movie critic mode because that's my other site on the side. You might not like what I have to say if it's like a reasonable movie, but it sucks for Sonic fans. That's the practical nature of it. Sandworm. All right. 888-200. That sounds like the like Nintendo Power tip line. Can't find the statue room in Sonic Generations. 888-200. That's 888-200.
Thanks, Howard Phillips.
888. I didn't even put an 888. Rouge the Bat. Well, that's in my game forever now.
Gross.
Gross. Ew.
Kill it with fire.
Why does she sound like a middle-aged smoker in like every game? At least the older ones. I'm trying to think which one, but she just...
He is a middle-aged smoker, have you not?
Like, especially like Sonic 06. It's really bad.
I found a Chaos Emerald.
Don't touch it!
I know.
Speaking of the Chaos Emeralds, it's pretty good. It's like Beetlejuice, you just say it enough and they just appear.
Yep.
They make no sense.
Oh, that's how the special stages work.
How would anyone ever find these codes? Is my question.
What is the little worm dude's name?
Sandworm?
What?
Now you know.
That's all they're gonna give me?
He's a sandworm. He's a worm in the sand.
Hey, we got a worm in the sand. We need a name for it.
Whoa!
Hey, Bill! You got the ideas for the name?
Bill. Sandworm. Cucky, Picky, Flicky, and Pecky.
Tell me which is which.
None of that is alright. Like, this one just looks like he's straight out of Looney Tunes. I don't know if that's Cucky or Flicky or what.
So I can tell you. Cucky's chicken, Picky's a pig, Pecky's a penguin, and Flicky's the bluebird.
Why do you know this?
Because I was a lonely boy.
real talk here on TSSZ Plus. We've all been there. It's okay.
Ring.
Yeah, in case you didn't know.
Oh,
nice. Egg pawn.
What's the code for bounce pad?
It's already there. I like how he's kind of dabbing too. Like, look at that. We had dabbing with our egg pawns before dabbing was a thing. Stupid kids.
Dude, he is straight up dabbing.
Get off my lawn.
That is a fabulous pose.
They say this is modern Sonic Team's favorite code. Why?
I don't get it.
It's a boost.
No.
Which I guess, yeah. Sorry, booster.
Why would you say, you know, we need a trophy for the boost pad?
Like, that's just drawing attention to yourself in the worst way.
Yeah.
There's the
like,
bull ring?
You put in a code and it just comes up, crutch.
Did they literally just take the 3D models they already made and make them statues? I really don't understand.
Why wouldn't we do that, dude? Wouldn't you make new models from scratch?
Did this take like a day to do? There's your spring.
Bill got done early.
so he got into 3D modeling and they basically just said, give these random numbers. Like, is there any rhyme or reason to this at all?
These are all of Bill's losing lotto numbers.
These are literally just close-up looks at what they use in game. These were meant to be given away in special events, then hacking happened. I see. That makes more sense.
Dude, data mining ruins secrets.
It does. There's your capsule. How many of these are we gonna do?
How many of them are there?
That's what I want to know. This password has been used. Don't start doing this to me.
Oh gosh.
I'm never gonna know what's used and what's not. 005. Oh god.
I'm surprised it didn't say this password should include at least one special character.
Yeah, right. The item box, like it's literally just. Oh my god. I don't get it. No, I'm cutting you off. No more trophies, please. Oh god.
It's like
there you go, silver.
Asset list. Started grabbing stuff.
Honestly, like how far does this go? It just keeps extending the room.
If we modeled it, it's in there.
Let's do this already. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Great.
Dude,
good.
Yeah,
great. Awesome. Outstanding. Amazing.
Like giant Sonic that populates behind you. Dude, that's be a fit. Dude, I bet you could glitch this and see like go forward or something.
Out of here, folks. Oh man.
I had dreams like that.
Well, that was like the highlight of the stream. How about that? That'll go in the inevitable. All right. If we get one more level to close this out with, Noah, what should we play?
Don't ask me because I'm gonna say City Escape every time.
Okay. Let's do City Escape. Music choice. The only reasonable choice. Of course, Splash Hill Zone. Oh no, we got requests coming in. Hold on.
You got to do what's the really like way too jolly song? New Venture. That's what
I love a New Venture though.
You just gotta play like
a New Venture on Crisis City.
Yes.
That's pretty good because someone wanted. Mr. Jazzbo said, "Oh, Speed Highway was starting." Oh, Drakescope said Crisis City speedrun. Well, we got requests coming in here. Drakescope loves the Sonic 4 OST when we do it, so we have to Rooftop Run 2. We did do a lot of Rooftop Run already. No, seems like that. All right, that's what we're gonna do. That's a really interesting one to go out on, I guess. Crisis City, modern, Splash Hill Zone with Supersonic. So you wish it, so it shall be. Actually, that might be a fun one to come back to with Generations down the road. Just make really weird requests. Play through the levels is ridiculous. Old Sonic 4.
Hey guys, I was digging through some old files and I found the drum samples from Sonic 2. You guys want to make a soundtrack?
Like, literally, I'm not convinced that Jun Snow didn't just do that. He was just like, how do I make this sound a little more like Genesis?
Yeah, and
the drum. Perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like kind of in his defense, he couldn't do just a straight Genesis track because the graphics weren't straight Genesis, so he had to do some like weird mix in between. And I think it fits what Sonic 4 is. You know what I mean?
It does.
It's like, it's kind of the game's fault at that point.
Yeah.
Because you mean, like, you know, you're a composer, you get hired to, it's like, here, this is the game, make music that fits this. For better or for worse.
And I mean, it does. And it's not a terrible soundtrack, to be fair.
Yeah.
Actually,
I don't think that bad.
Like, composition-wise, I do rather like most of Sonic 4.
Yeah.
It's just, it's Sonic 4. Now, I mean, I will always go to bat for that game, because it's really not bad.
It really is, I think, over-exaggerated.
It's just not good, like, super good, and especially in the face of something like that.
It's just, that name hurt it so much.
If it wasn't Sonic 4, everything would have been fine.
Yeah. It was Sonic Mobile Adventure or something.
Yeah,
Sonic's Crafted World.
Yeah, really.
Sonic
Plastic Sonic comes to life or whatever. Sonic Episode 1 doesn't really plastic either.
Yeah, Sonic Toy Soldiers. There's the
Small Soldiers.
Is that Small Soldiers? Is that what it's called?
The movie from back in the day?
Yes. Who here is too young to get that?
Yeah. For our sub 25-year-old viewers, do you remember Small Soldiers?
Boy, did I pull that one out.
I'm really good. I watched that movie a lot.
Did you really?
I did.
I watched it once.
There were a bunch of
on VHS, I was assuming.
Oh, it was obviously. There we go. Now this doesn't put me in super floaty, skip the level mode, but the rest of the level does. And you notice that with Supersonic in this game, most of the Supersonic, when you boost, it just flies way above the stage and your rings drain really fast. Not there. It was weird. We do have some people that remember the Gorgonites. Mr. Jazzbo making my night. They remember the Gorgonites.
See,
it was the Gorgonites versus the Commandos.
Yeah, isn't it kind of like
Kirsten Dunst was in it when she was like real young.
Yeah, what's the deal? It's like kind of like hippies versus military people.
Yeah. It's a really uncomfortable movie too in a lot of points.
Yeah, really? Because I feel like I remember feeling comfortable as a kid.
It hasn't aged super well. We'll put it that way. We'll go to Sky Sanctuary here. Let's see. Now I love that we're actually talking about Small Soldiers. But when I watched it back in the day, it was
Yo, games. That movie's PG-13.
It is.
Dude, what happened in this movie?
It was a little bizarre. So there's the one scene where Kirsten Dunst's character gets kidnapped, I remember, and the like weird morphed, melted Barbie dolls take over, and they start making like it's like weirdly sexual and sort of uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, but it got real weird.
So, guys, who here expected to be talking about Small Soldiers when you tuned into the Sonic Generations?
But no, I'll tell you why I remember it, because on the VHS tape there were like 3 movies that came out around that time that all had like previews for each other on their VHS tapes. It was Small Soldiers, it was Polly, the movie about the talking bird.
I did not know that.
And it was Mouse Hunt with Nathan Lane.
Yes, okay. Catzilla, baby.
Which was just... that's a movie, man.
It's like, remember when they get Catzilla? And it's like, I'm glad you're picking her up. We're about to gas it again. Again?
Again? Oh man, the 90s were weird. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, Rail Spoil saying he's read the novelization of Small Soldiers.
There's a novelization of Small Soldiers?
Okay, so not only did I not expect to be talking about Small Soldiers, I did not expect to learn that
about Small Soldiers.
That's read a novelization. That's pretty cool.
This is my life now. Learn about Small Soldiers and...
Chat, I'm sorry I doubted you.
I never doubted you, except for the parts where I always doubted you.
What he said.
I'm a doubter. What do you want? I'm a hater. We're all here. I'm not even close to Supersonic. I don't know what I'm doing here. See, this is the banter I'm not good at doing by myself when I have to play and talk at the same time. Is Rarefoil still getting banned for saying SA1's soundtrack is better?
So when are we gonna play the Small Soldiers PlayStation game? Is that the next?
Oh my god. So that's really out of our wheelhouse, but we never really stay in our lane anyway. If you guys give us permission, we are totally good. No question about it.
Tommy Lee
Jones
is the only actor to reprise his role in.
Did you say sequel? There is not a Small Soldiers 2.
In the video game.
Oh. Who was the only one?
Tommy Lee Jones, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, he's the only one who said he wasn't too good in the video game.
He's like the last one I would expect.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So curmudgeonly. When are you ever gonna work curmudgeonly?
Phil Hartman's in that movie?
He is. He's the dad.
Yo, dude. This is a fun rabbit hole.
That was a bizarre movie. It really was. Had its charm for whatever.
I feel like there were like a lot of movies around that time where it's like it's for kids except nightmares.
Except really, really not at all though. Like in Mouse Hunt, like if you guys remember Mouse Hunt, there's a scene where Lee Evans' character is doing something in an office, like getting paperwork together or something. His estranged ex-wife comes in and seduces him by only wearing like a fur coat, disrobing, just seducing him butt naked, and having sex in the office. He's naked in there because some incident in the twine factory or whatever, the string factory, ripped up all his clothes. So he's holding a bunch of string in front of his area. He drops the string that looks conveniently like two you-know-whats, and then the painting in the background changes to like a shocked face, and it's heavily implied that they do it, and it's really bizarre. And that movie's PG.
Yo, I'm watching footage of a Small Soldiers game, and we're talking tank controls, dude.
Oh no. Are we really gonna play this?
Yo, it looks like Shadow with tank controls.
Chat, we need your permission. We need the regulars to support this, because people are going to tune in. They're going to be like, I thought this was the Sonic channel.
I can tell you right now, we will be the #1 Small Soldiers players on Twitch.
You know what? I say we do it.
Yo, wait, do the whole thing in character as your Twitch streamer guy.
Oh my god. Pro strats for Small Soldiers.
Yes. And never drop it. Start to stream it in the stream.
Oh, Rarefoil's on board. This is good.
Me acting normal, but you completely
in total pro strat mode. I'll do it. That'll be funny. All right, so how about that for our first legit non-Sega game? We're gonna play Small Soldiers. That's a great little piece of feedback too. It's like, you wanted more non-Sega games. This is what you wanted, guys?
It's like, we didn't ask for this.
In no way was this what we wanted. Oh, classic Sonic's broken. Or, Supersonic. Nice. We should have tested this. Ratchet Sprite's going off about something. What are they going off about? Really like it. I love the whole kind of dark on fire. Kind of in line with the environmental theme too, right? Oh, gross! Chemicals ruining the planet. I always almost hit that rail, and I never really. Well, it's over anyways. Ratchet Sprite. Unleashed is still better than this game, and it always has been. Ooh. I'll say visually it's better. I always will prefer the art direction of Unleashed over Generations, we'll say. Mechanics-wise, I think Generations controls more smoothly. If Unleashed was 60 frames per second, maybe that would help. Actually, I'm sure it would, because the frame rate on Unleashed is piss poor. The chemical plant was where the small soilders. That's right. Whatever you said it. Alright, well that's like 8 stages more than I was expecting. What did we learn today, kids?
That there's a novelization of Small Soldiers.
There's a novelization of Small Soldiers. We're playing that PS1 game somehow at some point. I'm gonna regret that, I'm sure. Really going outside. I'm really gonna post that. I'm gonna be like, you wanted more non-Sonic games. This is what you meant, right? We're gonna play Small Soldiers.
Follow numbers drop.
Or we get like 500 because there's so many closeted Small Soldiers fans, and now they can express their joy.
They're like, finally, someone recognizes us.
A stream just for me. They'll be very excited.
The hashtags will fly.
They better. Maybe people will finally know what TSSZ Plus is. It's that weird, quirky stuff we gotta do to separate ourselves from the pack. And again, we'll all be character. I gotta work on phrases for the pro strat guy.
You gotta ask yourself, do you want to go down as the Small Soldiers guy?
It depends how famous it makes me. What was I gonna say? The fun irony is gonna be he's literally dog shit at Small Soldiers on PS1, but he thinks he's a god, so he'll like finish it with a clear time of like 60 minutes. He's gonna be like, pro strats, ready to go, all day, all day.
Yeah, he's like, every time you die, it resets a counter, so that's why I died right there. So that the
he makes excuses for every death. He thinks, you know, spending time in the level, you gotta explore it all, you gotta understand every piece of geometry in the stage to make this work. Only then can you become a pro Small Soldier speedrunner on Twitch, YouTube, live, all day, every day, most days, some weeks, almost a year.
At what point do you breathe during those stuff?
I don't know. I start running out of things to say, because if I don't, like, queue up enough stuff to rattle off, I'll naturally hit an end of something and stuff keep going.
Really? Because I'm consistently impressed by how long it goes.
You gotta have thoughts like, give yourself room to expand it, where it's like, you know, all day, every day, sitting here at a desk, light on the table, small room, no blinds, sun blind, camera in front, keyboard on side, tea in the kitchen, gotta drink it later. Like,
yes, all of it.
That's a Kevin Hart bit, I think. He does something like that. The, like, hype guys that never stop hyping someone up, that's basically him.
There you go.
Okay, well, that's enough, I think. Big thanks to Noah for coming on the stream and giving us memes. This is gonna happen, I think.
What if
Sonic
I don't?
Generations is not going away forever. We're going to do fan mods and community content for it in the weeks and months ahead. And you have a preview of what TSSZ Plus is going to look like in the weeks and months ahead. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric starts mid-February. We will be updating how we do scheduling and getting the word out on TSSZ Plus, so keep an eye out for all of that information. I think that's about it.
That's it, man.
I'll tell you. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This is TSSZ Plus, and this has been TSSZ Plays Sonic Generation. There's whoa. Before we go, Small Soldiers Generations mod. That can't be true. He's sending me links. Don't. Oh, this isn't it. What are you giving me? It's like pieces of something. Don't tease me with things I can't have. Rare foil. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you back here real soon.
Bedtime.